Hi, welcome to this video. I am going to show you how to source copyright-friendly graphics, icons, and illustrations in a few websites, including Google Images, but I want to also show you the Camosun LibGuide where you can find free open source images to use on your project. So let's take a look. Here we are at the Camosun website. We're going to go to the library. That's where the LibGuides are stored. And once you're in the library, following to the guides section, and then further down, how do I guides. I'm going to post a link directly to this in the description, but here are where you can find and use images. So a little bit of drill down there on the website, and what we want to use is copyright friendly or Creative Commons images. So I'm going to get an image here. I want to use a graphical icon of a compass in my logo. So I'm going to go to Pixabay because there's quite a few illustrations on this website. And so I'm going to search for a compass logo here. So I'm just going to type compass icon. And then here it comes up with a bunch of options. I really like this one. And then when I click on it, it's quite nice, but I notice it doesn't have a transparent background. So I will need to do a little bit of cropping and cutting if I'm going to use this in a logo. But I'm going to download it and give it a try. I actually don't need it very large because I'm going to put it on a very small graphic. So I'm going to download this. Now I can see it's stored in my folder, my downloads folder. I'm just going to go to that folder, and right away I'm going to rename this to Compass, something that is the right file name. And then we're in our project folder, and I'm just going to paste this here for now. The other way, of course, you can search is on Google Images. So if I do Compass here on Google Images, I need to make sure that I change the tool's usage rights to Creative Commons licenses so that I'm not infringing on any copyright. So once I do that, it gives me a different list of images. But here, Wikimedia Commons, there's an option here. You might also want to search transparent background because that just makes cropping it out a lot easier. Okay, this is a nice one here, but it still has that Shutterstock in the background, so I'm not sure that it is actually copyright. Trying again to find a free image. So we can use images that are for non-corporate use, for education purposes, and so that's usually most of them within that domain. So I'm going to download this one as well. And again, going to my downloads folder and renaming this. I'm just going to name it Compass 2 and moving it to my project folder. Okay, in Photoshop, now I'm going to start a new image. We need this to be 500 to 500, and then you can scale it down after the fact. So let's create that with a transparent background, square pixels. Perfect. And then I'm going to open those two images. Okay, so you can see each of these images is quite a bit different. So at the bottom in Photoshop, it tells me this image is 899 pixels by 905 pixels. So that's quite a bit bigger than the 500 pixel image I just created. So when I copy and paste this in, I'm expecting that I'm going to have to do a little bit of resizing here. This graphic, on the other hand, is 640 by 640, and I really want to only use the compass elements here. So I'm going to use the quick select tool here to add different parts of this graphic, and then to cut it out so that it has a little bit of like a transparent background. So I'm just going to go around here. I'm not really too concerned if this white area comes in the middle. I think it will be fine. Okay, so now I'm going to just make sure everything here is selected. I don't need any of these lines to be really separate here. Making sure that all of my points are selected. And then I'm going to copy this using Control-C and then pasting into my new layer. So not perfect. I could go back and just grab those last two bars, but it was a pretty nice transfer. So now I have this element in a new layer here, and I can move it around to wherever I want. If I wanted to resize it, I would use Control T, so the transform. And you got to be careful not to skew it. So holding down Alt on your keyboard while you resize will keep the aspect ratio of that graphic. And then it looks a little pixelated when you resize it until you press Enter on your keyboard, confirming that transformation. So that is how you crop that. This is a little bit easier. For this one here, if I wanted to include this on my graphic, because I already have a transparent background, I can just select all, so Control A, Control C to copy, and then Control V to paste. Now, as I mentioned, this is quite a bit larger. So using Control T, the transform, and holding Alt, I'm going to resize that down. So Control T is your transform. You can also find it here under Edit Transform, and then Alt. And the only way to get out of transform is to either press Escape, which would take you back, or I'm going to use Control T again, and holding Alt to resize, pressing Enter to confirm my transformation. I hope this was helpful in showing you how you can add different graphic elements from different sources. Make sure that you take record of the URL where you got the source. So if I'm going to use this graphic in my image, then I do need to cite this. So the easiest way to do this might be to create a little file here, just like a little text file. If I can find it. Just create a little text file. Doesn't need to be rich text, but it doesn't matter. All right, so we'll call it sources. Open it up. And just paste the URL. So this was the transparent compass. And save that so that you have those sources for when you build your web page.